Good morning, students. So today we are going to start chapter 11 of our NCERT book, and that is biotechnology, principles and processes. What we are going to study in this chapter we get familiar with the term biotechnology. So you know very well, biotechnology is a modern science, a modern discipline that arises due to some of the applications of live organisms, the cells or the genes present in these organisms. Their manipulation is done for human welfare. So here we will study how the manipulation of genes uh, is done in this branch of biology, which is known as a biotechnology. Besides this, I am going to tell you about the principle behind biotechnology. So here I am going to discuss about two techniques. One is a recombinant DNA technology, which is also known as genetic engineering. And second one is bioprocess engineering. So we will study both the techniques in detail here. I am also going to tell you about the tools which are used for biotechnological applications. So there are various types of tools that are involved in the manipulation of the genes. These may be different type of enzymes such as restriction endonucleases. Then we have vectors for the transport of desired genes or DNA segment of our interest. So these vectors may be plasmids or bacteriophages, and how they behave as vector we will study. And beside these, there are certain techniques that we also get familiar with in this chapter. These are the PCR technique, polymerase chain reaction, and agarose gel electrophoresis. What is their significant role in the field of biotechnology? Here we are also going to study what are the various steps that are involved in biotechnological process. Okay, student, let's start our chapter. So first of all, I want to define the term biotechnology. So student, biotechnology is a branch of science or branch of biology which deals with those techniques or those processes in which we use live organisms or enzymes that are present in these organisms for producing some important desirable products or for conducting some important processes that are useful to humans, or you can say that are used for human welfare. If we define the term biotechnology in a restricted sense, then we can say this biotechnology is concerned with those processes in which we used genetically modified organisms to achieve the same goal, that is the goal of producing some important products on a large scale. We have done so many things with the help of this biotechnology. For example, in vitro fertilization or test tube baby programs is concerned with it. Second is synthesizing a gene in laboratory. So we are able to synthesize the gene artificially in laboratory or in vitro conditions. By this technique, we are able to develop DNA vaccine, and we can also correct the defective genes in some of the genetic disorders, which is known as gene therapy, that we will also study. And we are also get familiar with the areas of biotechnology and how this biotechnological applications, they act as boon in the modern society. A student, according to European Federation of Biotechnology, what European Federation says that it is the integration of natural science and organisms, cells, parts of these cells to produce molecular analogies for products as well as services. So it is the integration of natural science and so many living organisms, their cells, their molecular analogies means the types of nucleic acids that are present in them, genes present in them, for the purpose of producing different kind of desirable products and services. That is known as biotechnology. Yes, students, I am going to discuss here the principles of biotechnology. So there are two core techniques that are behind the birth of this new branch, which is biotechnology. One is genetic engineering. So what comes under genetic engineering? Genetic engineering contains techniques to alter the chemistry of the genetic material. You know that there are two types of genetic material, DNA and RNA. So here the chemistry or the chemical structure of the DNA and RNA is altered, and these manipulated DNA or RNA is later introduced into the host organism. And when this manipulated DNA, or you can say the alien DNA, is inserted in a host organism, then naturally it causes changes in the phenotype of the host organism. So here I am going to give you the example. Suppose we eat rice every day, and it is an important component of our diet because it gives us carbohydrate. But I only get carbohydrate from this rice, but I want that I eat the rice and I get carbohydrates as well as iron from this rice. So for this purpose, I select one host plant here which is rich in iron. So it may be the green leafy vegetables, for example, spinach. I isolate the gene from spinach that is responsible for producing iron content in that plant. And this isolated gene or a piece of DNA segment, it is later inserted into some other plant. So here my other plant is the rice plant. So this gene I have cut, or a piece of DNA I have cut with the help of special type of enzymes. And these enzymes are the restriction endonucleases because they cut DNA from within. And later, with the help of some vectors, it may be plasmids, bacteriophages, I insert this foreign DNA or alien DNA into the host organism. And when this alien DNA gets incorporated with the genome of the host organism, so it undergoes replication as the genetic material of that host organism gets replicated. So later on, when it gets expressed in the host organism show the same type of phenotype what I want to be in that host organism to express. Okay, students, second thing is bioprocess engineering. What is bioprocess engineering? So here our main motive is to produce a particular biological product on a large scale. So bioprocess engineering means maintenance of sterile, that means microbial contamination free conditions to enable the growth of only desired microbes or eukaryotic cells in large quantities for the manufacture of some biotechnological products. It may be antibiotics, it may be vaccines, it may be enzymes. How we understand this? Suppose I want large scale production of alcohol. And you know that alcohol is produced by unicellular fungus yeast, which is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. And this yeast fungi, it produces alcohol, but small quantity of alcohol is produced by it. So what I do, I want the production of alcohol on a large scale. So I isolate this yeast fungi, and later I grow it over some culture medium that I have maintained in the laboratory conditions. All the necessary conditions that is required for the successful functioning of this yeast organism is provided in those in vitro conditions. So raw material I have given to the yeast fungi, optimum temperature, optimum conditions I have provided. So what happened? Whenever suitable conditions are given to this fungi, it produces the desired product, which is alcohol here on a large scale. For this purpose, I have used a bigger vessel, steel vessels, which are known as fermenters here. Yes, student, before this, I want to take the historical account. So here I am going to tell you about the methods of reproduction that are generally used by the living organisms. So you know that the primitive or the simplest unicellular type of living organism, they are generally adopted asexual method of reproduction, where the parent cell, it generally undergoes a division and form two daughter cells. But here, what is the special thing that the offspring which is formed, it is morphologically and genetically similar to the parent organism. Or you can say it is the clone of the parent organism or the carbon copy of the parent organism. So this asexual reproduction, it preserves the genetic information. Whatever genes are present in the parent organism, these genes remains enter into the offspring as well. So there is no variations in asexual mode of reproduction. But you know that the lifespan of a multicellular complex organisms are more. So they are not adopting the method of asexual reproduction. They are generally focusing on sexual mode of reproduction for their larger survival rate. So what is the advantage of this sexual reproduction? That here two individuals of different sexes, they belong, they change their genes with each other, and later on the offspring which develops, it has characters of both the parents. So here I want to say that variations are introduced by this method of sexual reproduction. So later on, you know that time to time the farmers, they are adopted different techniques of breeding in order to enhance crop production or to increase the yield of their crop from the fields. So what the farmers do in the ancient times, that they are adopted the traditional hybridization processes that is used for both plant as well as animal breeding. And here what happened in these processes of plant breeding and animal breeding, as hybridization takes place, multiplication of the undesirable genes, it also happens along with the desired genes. So to overcome this kind of things, the new branch of biotechnology, which is known as genetic engineering, it came into existence. And the techniques of this genetic engineering, it includes creation of a recombinant DNA. We produce a new kind of DNA by inserting some foreign DNA segment with some vector, and that is known as the recombinant DNA. Then use of gene cloning, we can make clones of the genes. Then later these genes are transferred to the host organism. And all of these things in which recombinant DNA is there, gene cloning is there, gene transfer is there, this overcome the limitation that is found in the traditional methods of hybridization. So it allows us to isolate and introduce only one or a set of desirable genes. No desirable genes comes here. Whatever gene we want in the living organism to express, that gene only enters, whether it is a plant, whether it is a animal. So undesirable genes, they cannot enter into the generation. So this is the advantage of the recombinant DNA technology over the genetic engineering. Yes, student, here I am going to tell you few points about the basic technique of rDNA technology, which is known as recombinant DNA technology. Student, in this technique, what we do generally, we select a piece of DNA which contains our desired genes from some host organism. You can say, instead of host organism, you can use the term donor organism. We selected one donor organism and we isolate a piece of DNA which contains our genes of interest. And this piece of DNA which contains our genes of interest, they are actually known as the alien DNA. Now later what we do, this alien piece of DNA, it is not able to multiply itself in the progeny cells of the host organism in which we want to insert it. So what is the procedure that we adopted? If we integrate the genome of the recipient, if I want to say that this alien piece of DNA, if it is incorporated in the genome of the host organism, then it can easily replicate inside the host organism and we obtain so many replicas or copies of our desired genes. So for this purpose, we have a knowledge that in the chromosomes of the host, organism where we want to insert this alien piece of DNA. A site is present, and that is known as the origin of replication. So if we insert our alien piece of DNA on this site, which is known as origin of replication, then it gets incorporated with the host genome, and as soon as the host genome it produces its replica, our gene of interest it also gets replicated, and in this way so many clones of our gene of interest it is produced inside the host organism. So this is the basic criteria what is adopted in the technique of recombinant DNA. The student, therefore, for the multiplication of any alien piece of DNA in an organism, it needs to be the part of the chromosome which has specific sequence that is known as the origin of replication. So in this way, the alien piece of DNA, it gets replicated and multiply itself in the host organism. And when it produces so many copies of itself, then this process is known as a gene clone. That is making identical copies of any template DNA. Yes, student, here I am going to discuss one historical incident that was taken place in the year 1972. So this is construction of the first recombinant DNA. How the first recombinant DNA constructed by two scientists. So the construction of the first recombinant DNA was done by two scientists, Stanley Cohen and Howard Boer, in the year 1972. What they did, they isolate an antibiotic resistant gene from a bacterium by cutting out a piece of DNA which contains this gene from the plasmid that is found in that bacterial cell. So here I want to tell you that they have selected one donor bacterium cell, and in that donor bacterium cell the plasmid is present, which is the extra chromosomal DNA, and that plasmid contains an antibiotic resistant gene. So they isolate this antibiotic resistant gene by cutting out a piece of DNA. You know very well how they cut the piece of DNA, with the help of special type of enzymes which are known as restriction endonucleases. And how these restriction endonucleases work, so they move over the DNA segment and they identify specific type of bases which are known as palindromic bases, and after identification of these palindromic bases they cut the DNA from within. So in this way they isolate the DNA which contains the antibiotic resistant gene. The bacterium that they used at that time, from which they get this antibiotic resistant gene from the plasmid, that is the bacterium of Salmonella typhimurium. So from this bacteria they isolate antibiotic resistant gene and they want to insert it into a new bacteria, E. coli, which do not have such type of gene. So I have already discussed for cutting purpose they have used a specific type of enzymes, and these are restriction endonucleases. They are popularly known as molecular scissors. And they inspect the DNA segment, they identify the palindromic sequences, and later on they cut the DNA. So in this way, a piece of DNA containing specific gene of interest is there. So later on when they cut the piece of DNA, it is linked with the plasmid vector. You know that plasmid vector, they act as the vectors for the transportation of our gene of interest. So these plasmid vectors, they act as vectors, they transfer the piece of DNA attached to it. So in this way, a plasmid can be used to deliver an alien piece of DNA into the host organ. So later on, the linking of the antibiotic resistant gene with the plasmid vector is possible with the help of one another enzyme, which sealed the ends of the cut DNA fragment with the cuts end of the plasmid vector. So this means for cutting of the DNA fragment as well as for cutting of the plasmid vector, they use the same kind of restriction endonucleases. So in this way, both have a sticky ends, and there is one enzyme and its name is DNA ligase. And this DNA ligase, it joins the fragment of alien DNA which contains our gene of interest with the plasmid vector and later sealed their ends. So in this way, a circular autonomous replicating DNA, it gets created in vitro conditions. and this is actually the recombinant DNA. So when this recombinant DNA it is transferred into another bacterium, which is E. coli here, it gets replicated by using new host DNA polymerase enzyme here and make multiple copies of itself, which is known as gene cloning. So this ability to produce multiple copies of antibiotic resistant gene in E. coli is actually known as gene cloning. Here students, we are later going to discuss the following steps in detail. These are the basic steps to produce genetically modifying organism. Number one, first of all, we have to identify the DNA, which contains our desirable gene of interest. When we find out this alien piece of DNA which contains our desirable gene of interest, then later on, we introduce this identified DNA into the host organism that you know very well. We've done this with the help of a special type of vectors which may be plasmids, bacteriophages. So here they play the role of transfer of the genetic material. And third one is maintenance of the introduced DNA in the host. And later on, transfer of this DNA into the progeny cells. That how this DNA it forms the replicas inside the host organism. And later then so many clones are formed and the host cell it divides, it multiplies and give their offspring. Then this alien piece of DNA whose clones are produced in the host organism that also enter into the offsprings. So this is the 3 steps that are generally used in the technique of genetic engineering students. So I think the concepts are very much clear to you. So in our next lecture, we are going to study about the technique in detail. That's all in today's lecture, student. Have a nice day.